talking about the opportunities that we create for advisors like you. It's one thing to go out and run your mouth, isn't it? And you guys hear people do that and see people do that all the time. You've chased concept after platform after program, all these pie in the skies that promise a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And lo and behold, after you've spent time, energy, and resources pursuing these fantastic marketing concepts or market opportunities, so on and so forth, it doesn't play out. So we decided that everything we do, from rolling out programs to talking about opportunities, to talking about who we are and what we do, that we're going to validate every single thing we ever do. And so as you come to work with Stryde and you include us in your offerings and portfolio of services, what you'll find is every week, and we run training webinars, market launches, all sorts of stuff every single week, that everything we do and say is backed by third-party validation, articles, statistics, documentation, and many times multiple parties. And it was with that in mind that we decided, again, 11 years ago, to start bringing you guys on every single week. It was a tall order, and the other partners thought I was insane when I decided to do it. And in some ways, they still think I'm insane, but for different reasons. And so for 11 years, I would argue that we are the only organization that you can find that for 11 years, week after week, we bring on your peers, new advisors every single week, and not just one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 advisors every single week as the call permits based on the other content we want to cover on the call, to come on and talk about the stories, the opportunities, just as Chris had touched on, the advisor that brought the opportunity to Chris and brought it to his attention. That's what we do every single week, and we've been doing it for 11 years. In fact, we have 25 hours of the most recent testimonials taken straight from the mastermind call in an archive for you guys to listen to. And so again, I'm setting the expectation that at the end of this call, you will all come to join Stryde, and you will all have the opportunity to join the mastermind call and talk about how in individual transactions, and we're going to show you guys samples of all this stuff on this call, how in individual transactions, you're making more money than you used to make in an entire year or 5 years or 10 years. And yes, your peers join us every single week to tell that exact story. So with that said, let's jump into our opening slide. We kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit when we started talking about the markets that we're in, but that's okay. We do that on occasion. Let's start though by me identifying the fact that, guys, I'm just like you. I came from your background, 663, an insurance license. That was my intro into this industry. My first week in the industry, I signed up with one of those boiler houses that you guys, many of you participated in, cut your teeth in or have seen in movies. And a week into it, I decided, after I got my life license, my 6 and my 63, that this wasn't going to work for me. And I ignorantly went out and started my own financial firm, my own insurance firm. Before I'd ever filled out a life app, before I ever had done anything, it's just my personality. I wasn't going to work for these clowns. And I quickly discovered that I was, in fact, the clown, and that it's not as easy as it looked. And so the next thing I did was I ran around and I got every designation under the sun, everything I could find. And I could rattle off a list of designations that would tie up the remainder of the hour. I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, that'll do it. That'll make the difference. And guess what? It didn't. So then I thought, well, let's pay attention to what all these organizations are talking about. They're talking about the senior market. And let's chase around all these concepts, platforms, programs, services. They're going to make me wealthy in the senior market. And that didn't work. And so then I traveled the country and I went and learned about veterans benefits, college planning, med sup, all of these different platforms, programs, markets, concepts that have been in vogue and continue to circulate and recycle themselves year after year after year, none of which made me the money they promised to make. And so I very quickly decided if I wanted to be successful, I needed to give myself a competitive advantage, one that nobody else had, because apparently I just wasn't able to differentiate myself enough to realize the success that I knew I was destined for. I knew that I had the capacity to reach. So we started building Stryde. many, many, many years ago. In fact, the foundation of what Stryde is today started 18 years ago. So as we talk about everything today, the opportunities, again, everything associated with it, none of this is new. None of it's untested. We've been doing what we do for an awful long time. All of this to say that we understand your goals. From the foundation up, our platform was built to get you in front of the best clients so that you can do the most transactions and so that you can make the most money. So fundamentally, step one, we know your goals consist of getting you in front of more prospects. And of course, that's not enough. It's not enough just to get in front of people. You want to get in front of the right people, but then you want to close the deals. So we need to close more deals, and all of that results in making more money. And that's what we're focused on here at Stryde. So let's talk about what it looks like to have a working relationship with Stryde. Well, one, our objective, our sole, primary, exclusive, whatever language you want to use, objective is to put you in a position to sell more than ever before. Now, there's a couple things that are necessary to make that happen. One, we have to participate in the best market. And you guys got a little teaser there at the opening when Chris talked about business owners. That is the best market. I think you all understand that. If you don't, you will before the end of this call. It's not just enough, though, to pursue the best market, because if anybody on this call has ever tried to break into the business owner market, you know that it is the hardest market in the world to break into. But that's also a good thing, guys. The fact that it's the hardest market to break into has resulted, and again, I will share any studies with you guys. We've got all this stuff at our fingertips. 82%, according to the Securian study, the Guardian study, the Principal study, the Mass study, all of these different studies from these different institutions, many of which you guys are contracted with, they all want to pursue this market because they understand the viability of it. They understand the benefits associated with it, and they understand that's where America's wealth is truly at. They also, in doing this study, uncovered the fact that 82% of business owners do not have a financial planner, do not have an insurance agent. So we're going to keep working our way through this, but when I talk about best market and I talk about it being the business owner market, that's why it's the business owner market, because there's no competition. But again, the reason that reality, the reason that statistic exists is because it's the hardest market to get into. So it's not enough just to go there. You have to differentiate yourself somehow. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how we facilitate that and how we've been doing it at an incredible level for many, many years. And that by virtue of the differentiation that we're going to give you and you focusing on this market, that you will, for the first time in your life, be received with an enthusiastic welcome. So with that, let's go to our next slide. Let's start talking about this best market. We're already ahead of ourselves a little bit, so I'm going to skip over this. Of course, guys, we know the best market is not the senior market. Senior market is absolutely saturated. We know that for every person you find that has the money, the type of money you guys want to work with, you have to bury through or dig through, I mean to say, anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people, depending on your geography and how lucky you are at finding that needle in the haystack. Veterans benefits, college planning, the general retirement planning space, of course, I touched on all these earlier. You guys know that these markets are absolutely saturated. Another statistic to throw out there. Do you guys know there's 1.2 million of you running around right now chasing all of these markets? We talk about saturation. There is hardly another market in existence today that has that many bodies in it. Real estate doesn't have that many bodies in it, either commercial or residential. Tax doesn't have that many bodies in it. Law doesn't have that many bodies in it. Nobody, no professional. And you look at merchant processors and door-to-door knife salesmen or whatever the heck else we're talking about. I'm sure there's plenty of them running around. But professionals like you, like me, there's no other market that is as saturated as this. And this is where they spend all their time. So there's no point. There's no point in you guys spending all your time here because you're just another face in a sea of faces. So the best market, of course, is business owners. We've talked about that here for a moment. I gave you guys the statistic that these folks, 82% of them do not have a financial planner, do not have an insurance agent. But there's more statistics behind this. In fact, there's volumes of statistics. You guys are going to learn this stuff as you come to have a working relationship with Stryde that talks about the opportunity here. Let me talk about another opportunity here. Again, you guys have seen the proliferation of stats and knowledge and detail and market push for the senior market and the retirement market about the billions of dollars and the number of folks that are entering retirement age by the year, by the month, by the week, by the day, by the hour. You guys have seen all that stuff. And it's a multi-billion-dollar market. And it is. No question about that. Do you know, and again, the Securian study, the California State Business Brokers Association, and again, I will rattle off endless lists of institutions that have done these studies and uncovered this data that nobody else has paid attention to. Do you know that there are 28 million privately held businesses in this country right now today? When I say privately held, I mean Main Street type businesses, not Fortune 5s, not Fortune 1s. I'm talking Main Street, privately held, family owned type businesses, 28 million. Do you know that according to all of these polls and studies and interviews that have been done, upwards of 18 million of these will be changing hands over the next 8 to 10 years? That is a 12 to a 15 trillion dollar transition of wealth. That 76% of these business owners do not have an exit strategy. Another 12% started but did not complete. 88% of them do not have proper financial, legal, or tax representation. That's where that reality is what bears out those statistics. All of this transition of wealth, and nobody like you there to give the advice or to assist in this transition that is inevitable. There's no way around it. It's coming. Just as people age and are entering retirement, so too are they aging and retiring from the businesses that they own. Guys, this is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. 82% do not have a financial planner or an insurance agent. An even higher percentage, that fraction that don't have proper representation, which is demonstrated in the fact that they don't have exit strategies, that they don't have proper financial planning, that they don't have estate plans in place. And again, I can bore you guys to death for hours and will in subsequent calls giving you all of this information and demonstrating why this is so important. So again, this is the market to be in. Why chase pennies? Looking for that needle in the haystack in the senior market, retirement, all these other markets, when you can deal in a market where every single person you speak to is a millionaire. And you don't have to push somebody else out of the way to get them as a client. And nobody's coming behind you 15 minutes after you left undermining everything you've done. Because again, nobody else can get through the door. So now let's talk about how we get through the door. Let's talk about differentiation. If you want to differentiate yourself, there's a few things that need to happen. You have to stand out in some way, shape, or form. And it's not assertions. I promise you guys. You guys, again, you know this. The example of myself and my own, the early stages of my career with all the designations and all the this and all the that. Those are assertions. Those are promises. They are not tangible. I'm better because I have a series of letters after my name, or because I've been doing this for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, or. Nobody can wrap their fingers around it. So it's not real as far as they're concerned. You have to stand out from the crowd in some real way. When I say real, and I just use the words tangible, real and tangible is the best way to stand out from the crowd. You need to be able to provide not a hypothetical benefit, and think about what you do as an insurance agent or financial planner, right? Every transaction you engage in, you're asking clients to take a leap of faith on you. Every single one. Buy from me, invest with me, put your faith in me, and at some point down the road, you'll see that this was a good idea. That's not a real, tangible, right now benefit. That's nothing they can wrap their fingers around right now. That's nothing you can promise them right now. This is a long-term hope and wait. Well, we're going to change that. We're going to show you guys exactly how we're going to change that. And again, to differentiate yourself, you stand out. You provide real and tangible benefits, and you do something that nobody else can do. You have no competition. This is how you stand out. This is how you differentiate yourself. And this is exactly what a relationship with Stryde brings to the table. Hang with me. We're almost through the last bit of build up, so to speak, and then we're going to show you guys exactly how we do this. Finally, I said before, that we're going to set you guys up for the first time in your lives to be received with an enthusiastic welcome. How do we facilitate an enthusiastic welcome? Well, we do it through a process we call cost remediation. Cost remediation, the technical definition of cost remediation is the avenue through which we seek to reduce, refine, or recapture operational costs and or engage in tax mitigation. Sounds complicated, right? Really simple, guys. We're going to make their business more profitable. Okay? That's how we're going to start the relationship. Now, before you say, wow, that sounds kind of cool, but I don't know if that works for me, if that fits for me, how that ties into insurance and annuities and financial planning, hang on. Just hold out throughout the call. You're going to see exactly how it ties in, and you're going to see exactly how it results in the biggest deals of the careers of your peers in the industry right now today, and has been for about 18 years. So how do you get an enthusiastic welcome? Well, you bring your market, the business owner market, something that applies to each and every one of them. And I would ask you to look back throughout your careers. When was the last time you had a product that fit and applied and fit perfectly to every single person you presented it to? I would argue, even if you think you've had one, you haven't. There's no such thing as a product that applies to every single person, short of we as an organization and what it is that we do. How about better yet, when not only does it apply to everybody, it's something they're already looking for. They're already pursuing it day in and day out. I want you to think for a moment, 28 million privately held businesses in this country. Which one of them, and I said one, not 1 million, which one of them is not interested in making more money? Every business owner, every entrepreneur. Why are you guys on the call? We all, myself included, we spend every single waking moment trying to find every way to make more money, make our business more profitable, make ourselves better, make ourselves more successful, because that's who we are. You guys on the phone right now, every business owner you're going to talk to, that's who we are. That's why we didn't go get a job somewhere. That's why we didn't opt for the security of a paycheck. We're out there grinding it out every day because we're not content with the security, because we know what we're capable of. And we are ready, willing, and able to go get it. And we spend all of our time trying to find ways to make that happen. Every book, I have a stack of books sitting over here on my coffee table right here in my office. Every book I read, every seminar I attend, every consultation I pay for, everything we do is geared toward making more money. So if you want an enthusiastic welcome and you want to work with business owners, you bring them something that applies to them and something that they're already looking for. It really, guys, it comes down to being a simple matter. You raise your hand. You have no idea, and wait till you join our Friday calls and you hear this week after week after week. I never believed it could be this simple. I never believed it was really just a matter of going out and having conversations. I was exhausted. I was beat down. I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't know where my next clients were coming from. And then I joined Stryde. You'll hear from folks just in the last couple of weeks. I've had 35 in 3 weeks, our guest speaker 2 weeks ago, 35 CPAs contact me in 3 weeks and are sending me business. How many of you have spent money, worked your rear ends off, paid for lunches to get one relationship? And here we have an advisor that in 3 weeks had 35 CPAs driving them business. And on and on and on. So bring them something that applies to them all the time. Bring them something that they're looking for. Your job, again, is simply understand who we are and what we do and learn how to raise your hand. Now, if you look at the success rates in your industry, I say your industry, my industry, your industry, NAIC says that you guys on the call right now, the average of you, the mathematical mean, you're going to take a cold prospect and you're going to convince them to work with you. You're going to move them from being a cold prospect to a closed paying client somewhere between 2 and 5% of the time. Those of you on the call right now, they're $1 Million Roundtable. NAIC says you guys are going to be successful somewhere between 5 and 8% of the time. Our average advisor, guys, Same as you, using our system, our tools. We're going to show you the actual software in a moment that makes you the professional without having to be the professional. 82% close rate. First conversation to close case, 82% close rate. 82% of the people you talk to are going to sign your contract in the first conversation. We're not talking 2, 3, 5, 10 meetings like you do today to try to get a contract. First meeting. And why do we do that? We're able to do that because what we bring to them applies to every single one of them. One, we're making them more profitable. That's something they seek every single day. Number three, we do it at no risk. So you get the unique ability to go out and say, hey, listen, I'm the guy, I'm the gal you're looking for. I'm going to make your business more profitable. I'm going to do it without any disruption to your business, no downtime. We're not going to change vendors. You guys will see all that in a moment. Oh, and by the way, we'll do it on Stryde's dollar. What I mean when I say that is this. We're going to do our studies. We're going to go to work. The people in my building that I pay, my partners and I, on our dollar, are going to determine whether or not an opportunity exists. We're going to pursue it. And we will only be paid if and when we have been successful in identifying monies to put in their pocket. And then again, only as a percentage of that benefit. So now, guys, you get the chance to work with business owners, giving them what they want and starting a relationship, not by taking from them, not by asking for them to part with money that they use to run their business or to live the lifestyle that they deserve because they took the chance and built a quality business. No, instead, you get to start a relationship by handing them more money. And then guess what? After you gave them a pile of money, I'm sure you guys have some ideas on what they can do with it. And this is what immediately lends itself to you guys selling more insurance, more annuities, more money under management, whatever your practice consists of, more and bigger all the time because you're in front of exclusively millionaire clients and you're starting a relationship by handing them money so they don't have to go find it to engage in the transactions. And then finally, you did for them what nobody else ever did. Remember, 82% of them do not have an insurance agent. 82% of them do not have a financial planner. Their tax planners haven't done this stuff. Their attorneys haven't done this stuff. And if they are of the 18% that did have a financial planner or insurance agent, I promise you they didn't do this stuff either. So you have zero competition. Nobody can do what you can do. And when you can bring these 4 points to the table, I promise you, and again, you don't have to trust me. I've never asked anybody to trust me. Join our Friday call and trust your peers. Trust the 25 hours of testimonials you can listen to right now. This is a game changer. So with this, let's talk about what this looks like. What this looks like is this, guys. I said we're non-disruptive to the business. We're non-disruptive to you guys too. I started the call by talking about my own experiences and superimposing my experiences on you guys, assuming that you've run into some of the same stuff, that you've chased all around the country. You've flown here, you've flown there, you've paid for hotels, you've paid for programs, you've listened to seminars, you've listened to webinars, you've done this, that, and the other. You've rebuilt websites, you've learned all kinds of stuff, you've experienced downtime as you're going to take on this new market and this new huge opportunity that didn't play out. I'm going to show you guys, actually Bill is going to show you guys in a moment, our software that it takes you 1 hour of training to enter onto your tablet, your phone, access through your computer, and immediately be in front of clients. No downtime. We're not asking for you to reinvent yourself. We're not asking you to work Stryde exclusively. In fact, it's not the point. Stryde is here to get you through the door and to establish that relationship and that track record with that business owner so you can do more of what you already do and do bigger cases. So we're talking no downtime, no disruption. Statistically speaking, every single week we do calls and meetings like this, in addition, of course, to our ongoing training and our mastermind call and our product and system releases and launches, all the stuff we do. And every single week, every week's block of new advisors, 62% of you submit your first piece of business after the first hour of training. There are a total of 4 hours. They range anywhere from each training, four sessions. Each session runs anywhere from 58 to 66 minutes, I think is the longest one. After the very first hour, 62% of you on this call today are going to submit your first piece of business. which will result cumulatively in the largest transaction of your life for most of you. I'm sure there's the occasional folks on the call right now. I said folk, I meant folks. The occasional person on the call right now that's a multi-million-dollar producer. So, yep, there's a chance you've done single deals that might outdo your first deal here at Stryde, but I promise you, you will do deals that blow up anything you've ever done before, because if you're at that level, then you're going to be at that level here too. So with that, Bill, I'm going to hand over to you and ask you to share with everybody our Presentation Pro software that is exclusive to us as an organization. We built it with our in-office IT staff at the other end of my building. This does not exist anywhere else in the country or outside. This is the stuff that after 1 hour, you know how to use it, you know how to run it, and will result in 82% of the people that you stand in front of and turn this thing on signing the contract that you actually sign right here on the app, signing the contract on the spot, and getting your career started and working exclusively with millionaire business owners. So with that, Bill, I'm going to hand off to you, and I'm going to stop talking for a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Chris, I just want to double check you can see my screen in the app that I am presenting now.
It looks good.
All right, perfect. And Chris, I want to thank you. We're excited to be here. We're excited to share this opportunity with you folks, and we appreciate you letting us come on and show you what Stryde can do for your agents. So folks, I just want to start out by saying, you know, our team here has created what one agent has called the magical software, but the app that you can see, it's shaped like an iPad. We've built it. Our team of programmers have built it to run on all platforms. You know, just to show that it can be run on a tablet, this is how they've kind of set it up. But the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go through and input a client into the Stryde app. And then once you get their information in there, like, you know, company name, address, that kind of stuff, you're going to pick that client out of your list of clients in there, and then you're going to go in and tell the app how you want to run the program. If you're in person with the client, on the phone or web with the client, without the client, or if it's a test run. And just by choosing that, it's going to decide how the app runs. There are certain things that if you're not in front of the client, it's not going to put in, and you know, things that aren't needed. And if you're, you know, in person with the client, it's going to add or subtract things that are or are not needed. If you're just looking to do a test run, hey, I want to play with the app and see how it works and put in a fictitious client, you can do that as many times as you want under test run. So I'm going to pick that I am in front of a client. I'm sitting here in front of my client at Jefferson Machinery, and I want to confirm with them that you know, everything I have for Marcus is correct. Address, email, title, phone number, that kind of stuff. Hit the confirm button. Now, as Jason has said, we have made this extremely easy for you. We've formed the survey into the form of just questions. And the one thing that it does is, yes, it looks simple, and we've made it simple for the user and for the client to use, or to, you know, give us the information. But this does check databases, and it, you know, checks areas and things like that, and is going to bring up the different opportunities.
Let me comment on that real quick, if I may, Bill.
Yep.
So guys, just to be clear, when we talk, Bill just said that it ties in with databases. This system is what we call intelligent and responsive software. So there's mathematics built into this based off of over 250,000 in-house studies that we've done for our business owner clients and prospective clients. 250,000 in-house studies went into building an algorithm. And that algorithm is what responds to the data that's being imputed and kicks out the results. Not just that algorithm, however, but also, as Bill commented on a moment ago, real-time tie-in to regional, state, and federal tax databases. So when we talk about the accuracy of the software in generating the numbers that you guys are going to see as we work our way through, the numbers it generates are as accurate as the data that's put into it. It's incredible software. There's nothing else that functions quite like it. And in fact, even on the first page, as you're entering in different information, it's responding to that. So if, for example, you entered president or CEO next to the gentleman's name, The system knows to look for things of that nature, and it knows that statistically speaking, the owner or president of a business is irritated almost universally by the amount of property tax they pay. So when we get to our findings page of all the findings and all the things that we've uncovered, lo and behold, that will be the first one to show up. Whereas if they entered something else, another topic that if we look to buy trends, psychological buy cycles, things of that nature, there's volumes of science that went into this app. So it's real-time tie-in to tax, state, federal, regional databases. It's an algorithm that was developed by we as an organization based on volumes and volumes and volumes of studies that we've done. And it's interactive and reactive in nature, meaning that the results summary, the questions that are asked, all of that is governed by the previous entry. So again, very, very complex software that does all the thinking and all the work relative to this subject matter for you. So again, you don't have to be the expert. Go ahead, Bill.
Jason, I am so glad you tackled that portion. I am not a tech guy. So again, we've made it very simple, very easy to use. It's going to ask a few questions. And of course, as Jason has said, it's going to tie into a lot of other opportunities for double checking our numbers and things like that. So do you own commercial property? Yes, we're going to add in the cost or purchase, total construction or purchase cost of the building. If we've done any renovations, usually anybody can answer that question pretty simply. Are your property taxes $30,000 or more? We'll say yes, and enter in the property taxes. They can be real or personal property as well, depending on your area. Is your annual payroll $250,000 or more? We're going to say yes. A couple other questions we're answering here. Does your annual payroll expense, or is your annual payroll expense, it's 1.5 million in this case. And then did you have any revenue prior to 2013? That ties into some other tax benefits as well. How many new employees, including replacements or turnover, do you hire per year? We just put in 30 here. Do you take credit cards as part of your business? Yes. We're going to put in the amount and how those cards are used. Are they swiped at the terminal or are they used over the web, not swiped? Is your waste or recycling $300 or more per month? Again, we're just entering the information. Is your workers' comp premium $40,000 per year or more? Yes. System needs to know if the company is self-insured or not. We're going to answer that question as well. And then once we're done, the great thing about this tool is, I guess without a lack of a better way to say it, it's not going to leave you high and dry not knowing what to talk about. It's going to summarize the benefits. It individualizes the programs and the amounts and totals the estimated savings as well. One of the things that I will point out, and Jason, you can add a little more to this if you want, but this is an actual client that we have utilized, and it's a local client. We've changed the names, that kind of stuff, but this is a Main Street business. This is right around the corner. The businesses that we deal with are, right here and in your local areas as well. Jason, you want to comment on that as well?
Well, I think you nailed it, but I think the one thing I want to point out is, guys, when you see something like this, this is not a Nike, it's not a Microsoft, it's not all of which are clients, by the way, brought in by advisors like you that had never worked with business owners before. This is a Main Street client. In fact, this client here, they grossed a little over $2 million a year. They netted a little over $1 million a year. And now take a look at what it is that we're stacking on top of that. Think for a moment what that business would have to do to net another $400,000. I think about the risk they'd have to take, the expense and infrastructure, just all of that stuff. And yet here we are. So when you think of this, you come back and say, well, it's $400,000. One, it's a matter of perspective. $400,000, you're right. For a Coca-Cola, probably not a big deal. But $400,000 for a Main Street business, a privately held business that has 1 or 2 generations working in it, a couple of partners, partners with net worths in the $3 to $15 million range, $3 to $20 million range, because they've been running a profitable business for 10, 15, 20 years, whatever the case may be. You know, a client that if you met them tomorrow, you'd be super, super excited to have a working relationship with them. Think about how now excited they are to have a relationship with you when you, at the click of a button, have shown them the opportunity to increase their profit for that year by 43%, 42.6 based on this math. That's huge. At no risk to them, by the way. That's a game changer. And that's when we talk about that enthusiastic welcome, this is what we're talking about, guys. Bill, let's go to the next slide, and then I am going to jump in on that one as well, because I told you guys that I would make it painfully clear how this aligns itself with financial planning, insurance sales, things of that nature. So I'll walk you guys through that when Bill's done with this slide.
And you know, I just want to say, you know, as many times as I go to Jason to spend his money, he would be very happy if I brought him $400,000 in savings. So one of the things that are going back to what we were talking about, or what I said with the tool is going to build a presentation for you. It's going to give the opportunity to intelligently go over the different opportunities that are available. So it has built a presentation around the savings and benefits that it's identified for this potential client. So again, when we put in the amount of $120,000 for property taxes, the tool is estimating a savings of $20,000 a year in property tax reduction. And the other thing that it's also going to do, and again, we don't need you to be experts. We don't want you to ever be experts in what we're doing, but it's going to give you the opportunity to, again, talk about, it's going to give you a service summary. It's going to give you what the, you know, performance overview, what we're going to do, how it's going to work. And last but not least, it's going to talk about the fees and how much that's going to cost that client to partake in the savings. Of course, you know, we also have clients that we've listed out below, just some examples of what we've done for some of the businesses locally.
So with this, I said this, and in subsequent slides, I told you guys I was going to touch on how this dovetails with who you are, what you do, and what a client should expect from you in the realm of financial planning. With this, we see that we're going to identify the opportunity to save $20,000 in property tax. We're going to keep half of that the first year, nothing thereafter. What annuity have you guys sold? Insurance policy have you sold? Managed money, assets under management, stock, bond, mutual fund, whatever the case may be. What have you sold that you could guarantee that ROI on? With a $10,000 investment, that's our 50% of first year, that over a 10-year period of time would net then, you say 20,000 times 10 is 200,000 minus the one payment to us of $10,000 is 190. What $10,000 investment over a 10-year period of time could you guarantee a net of 190 on? Return on investment. That's what we're talking about. What annuity, what 10-year annuity can you guarantee those results from? And oh, by the way, we also gave you the $10,000 to invest. That's something to keep in mind. When we saved you 20 and asked for 10 of it, well, we created the $10,000 that came to us in the first place. So again, what investment can you do? What annuity can you sell? What policy can you sell where you're giving them the money to invest and guaranteeing a 190% return over the first 10 years? That's an example. These are numbers, guys. And as we work our way through, it's ROI, it's time value of money, it's tax management, all this stuff you guys do right now, all day, every day. This is just a better way to do it. It's a tangible, in your hand, quantifiable way to do it. It makes it real. And when it's real, people trust you. And when you look at what we do and we're spending the money, we're taking the risk, they don't even have to trust you. The contract says no upfront cost. You guys will see that here in a moment. Keep going, Bill, if you will, please.
Absolutely. And again, it's going to lay out all of the opportunities that it has identified. It's identified a research and development tax credit based on their payroll, based on the type of industry that they are, based on what they do. is estimated savings of $78,000 in that. Cost segregation, because they've purchased a building, they have the opportunity to save almost $260,000 based on the purchase and renovation costs that they've put into the building.
On this one, Bill, let's talk about opportunity, guys.
Absolutely.
92. So you guys want to think about this, okay? We're talking about tax, and so your mind's going, geez, but a lot of these guys do have tax planners, so they've probably done this stuff. Bill, 92% of commercial properties have not done a cost seg study, right?
That's absolutely true.
So guys, when you look around out there, you drive down any town USA, and you look left and you look right at all of those commercial buildings, understand that there is a 92+% likelihood that they've never even heard of this. Their CPA isn't doing it. That's why I gave the example of our guest speaker from the other day. That's why 35 CPAs started driving opportunity to him, because they saw that they should be doing this, but they don't know how. They don't have the tools. They don't have the systems in place. In fact, if you don't do a cost seg study, but they all say there's two ways to do it. There's a CPA way of doing it, which has a heightened risk for an audit, or there's an engineering-based study, which is what we do, at which point it's a rubber stamp of approval, or darn near. And so that's where you're able to forge these relationships with the CPAs and do this stuff. And the time value of money associated with this, you're going to depreciate the money spent on buying, building, or renovating a building. And oh, by the way, if you're a leaseor, you don't buy your building or build your building, you can just lease a building and do renovations on it, and you can still do a cost seg study. So that makes the market just that much bigger. When you buy a building, renovate a building, build a building, that money is going to be depreciated over a straight line 39.5-year time period. That's a long, long period of time. A cost segregation study is where we come in and we put every aspect of that building on its own depreciation schedule, because the carpet's going to wear out faster than the walls, and the plumbing's going to wear out faster than this and than that. And so it all goes on its own depreciation schedule. And again, I'm telling you guys stuff you don't need to know. The system does it for you, and our staff does it for you. You're going to see that here in a moment. But what it does is say, instead of stretching it over 39 years, I'm going to put this money on a 5-year depreciation, and this money on a 7-year, and this money on 8, 9, and 10, whatever the case may be. And instead of you waiting 39 years to get all your money, we can get it for you in 5 and 7, and whatever the case may be. And now you've got two arguments to make. Again, financial arguments. Time value of money. If you have that money today, instead of waiting 39 years to get it all, what can you do with it over the subsequent 39 years, and how much more can it be worth to you? 1. 2, deflation and inflation. Inflation of the cost of goods and deflation of the value of currency. Since the dollar went off the gold standard in the 70s, it has gone down in value every single year since. It will continue to do so. So your money is worth more to you today than it will be in 39 years. And the cost of goods, well, they just keep going up. It's worth more to you today. All financial discussions that you guys have anyways. I'm going to talk about this stuff dovetailing it. Keep going if you will, Bill.
All right. Now we come to the hiring incentives. Based on the number of annual hires that we've put in, we have identified a $36,000 savings there. Again, walking through the summary of the program and the performance overview, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and then what the fees are associated with that. Again, we have clients listed down below, just some examples of clients that we have helped in the past. Credit card processing, same thing, based on their annual processing amounts and based on the information that we've put in, we're going to save them about $18,000.
This is one I always have to comment on, because I think there's so much opportunity for misperception here. Guys, we're not merchant processors. So this is not one of those, hey, we can save you money scenarios. If you've noted, as we go out, we're consultants and auditors. That's what we do here at Stryde. At least that's a component of what we do. Federal government says that merchant processors take erroneously somewhere between $70 and $80 billion a year from business owners. That's what we do, is we go find that $70 or $80 billion and we put it back in the pockets of business owners without changing vendors. When I talk about non-disruption, again, guys, 1 hour of training, you're gonna be able to run Presentation Pro. You're gonna be able to go out and make money right now today. No downtime, no disruption. Same thing for business owners. we're not going to disrupt them. It's going to take 15 minutes to go through this Presentation Pro software. That's the disruption. Then we need to collect documents and do our work. We're not going to change processors. They're not going to experience downtime. That's it. Keep going if you would, Bill.
Absolutely. All right, so next we're looking at workers' comp. With the workers' comp, there is the opportunity here for a $15,000 savings based on, again, the information that we've put in based on the thousands of studies and that we've done in this area. We've got the savings there, we've got the fees there, and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Waste and recycling, this is another opportunity. Our clients usually are overpaying in waste and recycling. We're able to do an audit. We're able to save them some money there as well. Now, talk a little bit more about not having to be an expert. One of the things that we have done is we have here in our corporate office experts. We have the experts in each of our service. We have experts in our corporate office here that have the opportunity to go get on a call with you, and there you can do that by scheduling a simple, what we call a discovery call. We have a live calendar built in the app, and you're able to go through and pick a date and time, and you're able to just, let's see here, pick a date, pick a time that is available for your client, and you are going to get a notice, an email, a confirmation with a conference line that you're going to be able to connect with one of our experts here in the office, and they're going to be able to walk through those programs with your clients. They're going to explain exactly how they work, what the opportunities are. They're going to talk about the different expectations, what the client can expect from us in a performance, and what's going to be expected of the client when it comes to documents and time frames and things like that. Once we've done that, then we're going through and just kind of reminding the client and letting them know, hey, we're going to come in and discuss, on our next call, we're going to discuss this opportunity that we've uncovered for $426,000. And then we're going to show them our authorization forms or our agreements. Our agreements are very simple. As Jason usually points out, they're probably the simplest agreements you'll find out there in the field. But as you can see here, it says that we're going to do our analysis at no cost to the client. And then if we find opportunity that looks good, the client can is going to move forward with doing those programs. And it's very simple. You can also sign online right there on your tablets, your computer, whatever, your phone, whatever you were using at that time.
And guys, this is what I was describing. When you go through it, you look at the sequencing. So we've asked a series of questions. We identified the gross opportunity in a line item fashion. Then we walk through with the visuals that talk about what the program is, then how it works, then how we're paid on a topic by topic basis with validation. In my opinion, it's the most professional and aesthetically pleasing presentation you guys have ever seen, or that we ever saw at the point that we created it. Then you go to the opportunity to do a discovery call with our experts that sit right here in our building. And then from there, remind them of the gross opportunity and move into contracting. Again, there's all sorts of psychology and buy trending and different things that went into designing the sequences of everything and how it works. And that's where there's two contracts here. There's one on the tax side, one on the savings side. And that's where, as I was describing earlier, you're going to see that 82% close rate on that first conversation. So that's the real exciting part of all of that.
And again, simple agreements can be signed right then and there. And then the last but not least in the app is document collection. There's obviously going to be some documents that we need to collect. One of the things that we've figured out over the years is if you ask the right person for the right information, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it. So, and just to go back and kind of give you an example, if I need something from Jason and it's going to be, it's something that Amy's going to have, I'm going to have a better chance of getting that from Amy. If I need a copy of the property tax bill, for instance, I'm pretty sure you don't have that in your desk drawer, Jason. So I'm probably not going to get that from you.
No, I don't. And best intentions, guys. Best intentions. I'll plan on getting it to Bill, and in a month or two, I'll actually get around to it. So yes, we've learned after many years of doing this stuff that it makes a lot more sense to go to the source. And as we do this, and Bill clicks on that, we're going to enter in and ask that owner, hey Marcus, who's the right person to get this from, so on and so forth. And he's going to say, well, it's Jeff, or it's, and on and on and on. And we enter that in, and when we click done, they receive a very professional email from us that says, hey, Bill, and hey, Jeff, we've got a meeting with Marcus here on Wednesday at 3. This is the documentation that we need to be uploaded into have uploaded into our secure system so that we can deliver in that meeting. And Marcus is copied on that email. And, like Bill said, they just do their job then. And it's not a matter of trying to convince anybody of anything. They've been told, here's the meeting, here's the date, here's the time, here's what we need, and the owner's copied on it, so they just execute. And then we get what we need, and by the time you're to your car, you're back to your office, home office, whatever the case may be, our staff's already working on being prepared for that call, having documentation, and able to provide refined numbers after looking at tax returns, depreciation schedules, things of that nature, that are even more refined than the simple answers given on the summary here as we've worked our way through.
Absolutely, and that wraps up the app. It's just in a kind of a nutshell of how it works for you and how our systems work, and the ease of use. It's very intuitive, and gives you the great opportunity to get in front of a client and offer some cost savings and cost remediation programs at no risk to that client.
Absolutely. Let's go back to our slides, guys. I'm going to get you off here real quick. We've got 3 more slides to take a look at. Want to be conscious of the time and what you guys have going on, and then we'll get this done. So we're going to be moving into, as this next slide pops up, I can start on the story. We're going to be moving into the what this looks like slide, the next what this looks like slide, where we actually walk you guys through a case real quick and tell you the backdrop to that story. This was an advisor just like you guys. He'd been with us for a grand total of 10 days. And on the 10th day, he found himself at a car dealership. He was going in for the seasonal changeover of his tires. And obviously that car doesn't need to be dropped off for that. That's something that can be done in a matter of minutes. Unless you're first in line, you're probably going to kill an hour. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to drop it off, get back to your office, then turn around and go right back. So he did what I would argue any one of us would do. And he milled around the showroom, looking at the cars that were there and probably dreaming about his next car. And in doing that, it dawned on him that he had found himself in the exact same scenario that we've described when we talk about car dealerships and all the other types of businesses we talk about. And so he, if you were on the mastermind call and heard him speak, he sheepishly and nervously decided to try his first run of Presentation Pro. And so he called the manager over. The manager also spoke, by the way, and he said on the call that he hustled over, as he always does, because when somebody has to speak to a manager, usually they have a complaint, and you don't want the complaint to go viral in the building by somebody making too much noise. So he hustled over to see what was going on, and he was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't complaint, and then initially thought, oh, here we go, somebody's going to pitch me on something. But after he heard what the advisor had to say, the simple 1 or 2 liner that we give you guys that starts relationships or starts conversations and immediately leads into Pres Pro. What he did at about 2 questions into it was he asked the advisor to hold on for a moment. excused himself and ran upstairs, came back down with an older gentleman in tow, apologized for the interruption, made an introduction. This happened to be the owner, and then asked the advisor to start over again. So the advisor started over again, worked his way through, and in a matter of minutes, all parties found that that advisor could start a relationship with this business owner by handing him $413,000 in a cost seg study. Now, that advisor in 10 days could not opine in the manner that I can on cost seg studies, and he didn't have to. He was able to very, very simply read those 3 lines. And the sticker value was enough to prompt that business owner to pay attention. Now, to start the relationship with that business owner by handing them $413,000, which was, as you can imagine, a unique scenario for that advisor, he got paid about $6,200. Then went into merchant audit, found that we could save them another $37,000, and yet another $5,500 in commission to that advisor. We're up to about $11,700 now in comp. Not a bad day. Corporate loans. Yes, we do financing here at Stryde. We are a very, very comprehensive firm that does all forms of business consulting, and found that we could refinance a loan they had taken to do some recent renovations in their facility that was at a much higher interest rate than we could get them. And there was no prepayment penalty or on paying off the old loan. So we saved them another pile of money, thousands of dollars a month in interest they no longer had to pay, for another $21,000 of commission to you guys, to the advisor. Now we're up at about $32,700 in comp. Then we bump into the SRP, the Stryde Retirement Program. This is an insurance-based program that you do not need a securities license for. We have a 92% close rate. And again, you can hear about this every single week on the mastermind call. And the average commission on the average case, a smaller case, in fact, quite a bit smaller, about half the size of the average. The average commission to you guys is $162,000 per case. In this case, it was $156,000, and much smaller because it was 2 partners. In a typical scenario, when it's 2 partners, you're talking the $162,000 times 2. But still, not a bad day. You're looking at the better part of $200,000 commission that got started by handing the client money, which is always, as you guys, it's not a secret sauce. It's just logical. Of course, it's easier to start a relationship by handing money than it is asking people to take a leap of faith and trying to get them to part with money. It's a very different situation. Not only this, of course, we had to interface with that CPA on the tax audits and the SRP. The CPA was so impressed. The CPA, by the way, that had about 1,800 clients, 60% of which were business owners. And as of the printing of the slide, which was a couple weeks after the intro call, they had already scheduled 41 discovery calls with their clients and our agent, the agent working with us here at Stryde. And so this one case, that one conversation, him building up the confidence to nervously, as he said it, go and run his Presentation Pro software, turned into the biggest case of his life. And that's what, again, you guys get to hear about every single Friday. Let's go to the next slide. Like I said, guys, just a couple more and we're done. So all the interesting, exciting stuff we've talked about today, guys, it doesn't stop there. We're an extremely innovative company. This is our client self-registration program. And again, you get to come on every single week and listen to your peers talk about this. It has business intelligence built into it. This is a system along with language that we give you that you stick on social media. So you put it on LinkedIn, you put it on Facebook, and it goes to work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A staggering number of businesses self-enroll in Stryde and become paying clients of yours without ever speaking to you. This happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It costs you nothing extra. You join Stryde, you're given this, and it goes to work for you around the clock. So again, guys, we talk about non-disruption. We are not here to change your life. We are not here to say you work 8 hours a day, okay, we get 7 of them. No, we're talking mere minutes a day to have a conversation, to plug and play this. You keep doing what you're doing. You're just going to do a lot more of it now with the best clients. So that's self-registration. It also, as I said a moment ago, has business intelligence. So as it's asking questions, it's running a behind-the-scenes Presentation Pro software. So it's asking questions along the lines of what system or service they've enrolled in, but it's also identifying additionals and cross-selling them into that. So more often than not only are you getting a client you've never spoken to, but they're a client at 1, 2, 3 levels by the time you even get to them. So it's pretty exciting stuff. The next one is virality. Virality is a very interesting thing. You hear people talk about viral marketing, viral client acquisition, all these different uses of the word viral, and it's nonsense. Virality doesn't exist outside of Stryde. It never has, and I don't know when it will. I hope not for a long time, because I love the idea that we have the only one. I always like that. You'd think I was an only child. But with virality, the true non-bastardized version of the definition is, for something to be viral, it needs to grow on an exponential, ever-growing trajectory. It means it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger over time without it needing ongoing infusion of energy or capital or thought or promotion or whatever the case may be. And if you want to get a visual to go along with this, think of a forest fire, right? Forest fire just grows and it gets bigger and it's ever consuming, ever expanding until an outside force stops it, till it runs up against mountains, firefighters, or rivers, or oceans, or whatever the case may be. That's true virality. The stuff you see everywhere else with this, meteoric rise to fame and then an equally catastrophic drop, that's not virality. It's anything but. It's got the component with the rise, but true virality doesn't fall off the cliff like that. It keeps going. And so we created a true viral system. If you look at the bottom, the 6 o'clock position in this basic circle that's here, that's you. You go out, you run Presentation Pro to the left as we work our way around this thing in clockwise fashion. You go collect a client. That client then, of all the services that they use us for, use you for, WOTC, W-O-T-C, Worker Opportunity Tax Credit, happens to be one of them. This system alone is again, there's so much stuff going on. I can't wait to get you guys on and show you all the toys we have for you to get you more and more business. The WOTC program is something that 99% of every business in America wants to use, does not have access to, and we have zero competition for. So we go out there and they use this tool, and they use it to screen their their people applying for positions. So as they're going to hire for a job, they screen the people that come into the door. The tax credit was created years and years and years ago to influence business owners in hiring certain people with certain backgrounds. The problem is every other organization that pursues WOTC does so in a lottery fashion. So you'd make your decision to hire somebody, which again, it's meant to influence your decision, so it's already not working the way it's supposed to. You make your decision to hire somebody, then you send out and see whether or not you won the lottery. And even if you won the lottery, 9 times out of 10, because of this laborious paper process wrought with pitfalls, doesn't get done in the 28 days you're allotted. Our system is the only system in existence today that allows you to pre-screen. So very quickly, I'm going to give you this crash course on this. We're going to get back into virality. If you have 5 employees that are facsimiles of one another in every single way, right? You like them all. They've all got great backgrounds. They all have the same experience, and it's really hard to decide. What if you had a tool that said, this one comes with no tax credit, person 1, person 2, no tax credit, person 3, $2,600 tax credit from the government. Person 4, $6,400. Person 5, $9,600. Which one are you going to hire? And is that information valuable to you? That's WOTC. That's our WOTC program. And again, we're the only one like it in existence. So you got these employers, and these employers are doing what they do, right? No outside influence. You don't have to ask them to do it. They're just doing it. They're screening. They paid for the software. They're excited to have it there. It's helping them decide who to hire, and it's making it profitable for them, offsetting their costs and their risk associated with bringing somebody new on. They're thrilled, and they're screening these hires. Well, statistically speaking, for every person you hire, you're going to screen somewhere between 30 and 50 people. So let's go with the low end of that. Let's say they screened 30, they hired 1. That means there's 29 people they didn't hire. But we have the data. We reach out to those people, those 29, and say, here's a certificate. And this certificate says, I come with X tax credit. And what you're going to want to do is stick that certificate in with your resume to all those businesses. We're at the top 12 o'clock position right now under the word virality. Stick that certificate in with your resume everywhere you go. Put that resume with every employer you apply to. And that resume, of course, is going to be the only one they see with this certificate in it. It's going to draw a ton of extra attention to you, 1. And 2, it's going to enhance the odds that you're the one that gets hired, because out of the pile of resumes, yours is the only one they're going to see where you come with a tax credit. Now, what does that certificate do? Is the HR department or those business managers or owners are screening these resumes, it steers them right back to an enhanced version of that self-registration page and induces them not only to enroll, but again, cross-sells them to see what other tax credits they get. And so every business you get, every time they screen for a position, screen for a job and don't hire somebody, that somebody goes back into the world and plugs your system into every business they apply at. And that process repeats itself again and again and again. And that is true virality. And again, that's something we just do for our participants here, our members here, our partners here at Stryde. And so, guys, that's it. I promised to get you off relatively fast. We ran a couple minutes late. Like we said, I set out the expectation at the beginning of the call. I maintain it now. We want each and every one of you to work with us here at Stryde. Our goal is to have each and every one of you land on that mastermind call that you see right there. Every week we run an SRP call, and every week we run a mastermind call. The SRP call is where we review that program. We give content training. It's an open call. We open up to questions from the field in live fashion, answer your questions right there live in real time with an open dialogue. You can ask any question you want and you'll get an answer from us. No holds barred. Have at it. There's no decorum. There's no limit. You ask us questions, we give you answers in a live fashion. And then again, that mastermind call, we're going to cover snippets from Stryde. We're going to give you details on services, platforms, programs. We're going to move into the calls we've done for the week. We're going to bring on everybody's favorite part, guest speakers, which generally ties up 80% of the call. And if we happen to get done in time, we get through all of our guest speakers, then we'll close with some question and answer. So again, guys, we look forward to the opportunity to work with each and every one of you. Chris, I want to hand back to you to close us out. And thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate you joining us. I think everybody can see why we're so excited about this partnership and the ability to get you as agents in front of the people with the money, the small business owners. When you can walk in and say, hey, listen, would you be interested if I could hand you a check for several $100,000? The answer is yes. Now, they have much better lines than that. They have lead programs to work with this. They have everything scripted out for you. It is if you follow the program, it works type event. And not only are you going to get the commissions from Stryde, but it's going to dramatically enhance the business that you are bringing in, your life business, your long-term care, your annuity, your securities, all of that. So I would highly recommend give your account executive here a call. They will walk you through how to get signed up, how it works, and get you started. So once again, I want to thank Jason. I want to thank Bill for taking the time today. I want to thank all of you for taking the time on the call today. We look forward to continue to work with all of you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris.